A few years ago, my mother shared with me something that broke my heart about one of my favorite people in my life. My father died when I was young, so my grandfather became a very, very important person to me. Someone who I admired and respected, someone who, along with my grandmother, sacrificed so much to keep one of his daughters, who was born with a developmental disability, my Aunt Barbie, home her whole life until he passed away of cancer. And when he was passing away at the age of 92, he confided in my mother and he said, "I am dying a nobody. I am dying a nobody." When she told that to me, I was breathless, and I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget it. It was so painful, I immediately broke into tears. And what that told me was my grandfather, this great man, had a dream that he left on a shelf to gather dust, and eventually that dream disintegrated. Now, from time to time, he might have taken that dream off the shelf and taken a look at it, but he said, "Not now, I can't do this," because he had other priorities, and I understand that. I wanted to share a picture of my grandpa. This is me and my grandpa when I was, probably 38 or so. And isn't he a sweet, charming looking man? Yes. For this, hearing this about my grandfather made me think about my dream, a dream that I had placed on a shelf for a very, very long time. But fortunately, I had also given myself a deadline. Now, this dream for myself started when I was 40. That was 20 years ago. I can remember exactly when this dream flew into my head. I was standing on a stage in Everett, finishing up we were taking the last curtain call of a musical called Fiddler on the Roof, if you know that one. If I were a rich man, yiddy diddy yiddy 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 bum, or whatever he says. Anyway, it's a beautiful song. Every night that symphony ran through my brain, and on that very last night when I took that curtain call, I knew that it would be a long time before I would do the thing that I loved most again, which is musical theater. Why? Why would it be a long time? Because my husband and I were moving from Everett to Mount Vernon, which is where we live now, and building a house. And if you've ever built a house, you know that is a big job that can go on for a long time. And in our case, it went on for 2 years. Once we settled into our new house, we were still living or working in Snohomish and King County. That meant we were commuting out of Skagit County every single day, getting home late at night. And you know, that schedule is not conducive to being in theater if you've ever been in a theatrical production. So this is when I took my dream and I set it on the shelf, and I said out loud, and I've said it many times, when I turn 60, that's when I'm back in theater again. I had a birthday this year. Well, hopefully we all have one every year. In February. And guess how old I turned? You can put it in the chat. Guess how old I turned? It's a math problem here. It's a math question. Go ahead. 59. Oh, that's very nice. 29. Yeah, very funny. 55. 60. Yes, I turned 60. That age that I promised myself I'd be back in musical theater. But guess what also happened this year? COVID. Yay. And how many musical theater productions are going on in your neck of the woods? I can tell you that 0 have transpired in Skagit County in 2 years. And so I found myself in a dilemma. How will I make this dream come true? How am I going to be true to myself so that I don't get to the end of my days and have regret over not doing this? How will I take my dream off the shelf, dust it off, and give it wings? Here's how I did it. I put on my own show in a theater. Now, it was a little challenging because I produced it and I had to call a lot of people and do a lot of promotion to get live bodies there, because this was also when the Delta variant reared its ugly head and people were very scared, very afraid once again of being around other people. But I decided I was going to do it whether one person showed up or no persons showed up. I was going to do it for me, because I was going to make my dream come true. I did not want to live out my days with that regret. I did it. It was wonderful. It was fun. I sang, I laughed, I engaged with an audience of 35 people at the Concrete Theater, and it was one of the best days of my entire life, I have to say. That was September 18th. 1 month went by, and exactly 1 month later, on October 18th, my husband and I, we celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary. And the next day, I had a breast biopsy because they saw something funny on my mammogram. And 3 days later, I found out I had breast cancer. And I did not know what that meant for me. As it turns out, tomorrow I'll be having a double mastectomy, and they'll be building back my breasts. Is it okay to say that word in Toastmasters? I think so. It's part of the human body, right? Yeah. And it's been a very emotional and scary thing to go through. But the one thing I keep thinking of, and this is why I wanted to share this with you, is I'm so glad I listened to myself. I'm so glad I didn't let my dream disintegrate into dust. And I want you to take a good look at your dream as you're heading toward the new year. Now, what is the difference between a dream and a goal? And I know I'm going over time, Chris, so, if you have to kick me out, go ahead. But what is the difference between a dream and a goal in your mind? What is it? And I invite you to put that into the chat as well. Dream and goal, what is the difference? Not seeing many answers. Okay, I'm going to offer you one. Action. Yes, exactly. Action. Because a dream, wait a minute, I'm going to get this mixed up. A goal is a dream plus a deadline. A goal is a dream plus a deadline. So whether it's 20 years, 10 years, 1 year, whatever it is, you put your dreams and your goals right in front of you. It's very important for you to see them and to know that you have a deadline. And when you can put them in front of you, if you have a wall in front of you, tack it to the wall. Tack it right there. If you don't have a wall in front of you, find a way to put it on your computer screen, but somehow get it in front of you and put it in front of you, that picture, that word, that sentence, so that you can see it, because your brain takes that in, and your brain will help you make that dream happen. I wrote a poem for you, and this is how I'm going to end. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one poem. It's called That's Not My Job. It's a poem about everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. Have you ever heard that one? I would look it up. It's basically like, hey, do you want to get something done? Hey, somebody, can somebody help me? Nobody's answering. It's very funny. My grandfather sent me that poem. That was the first time I ever saw it. But basically, specificity is power. So when you can say, instead of, hey, will somebody help me? Hey, Chris Rolla, would you help me out? Something's going to happen. Because Chris, see, he already went like this. He raised his hand. So this poem that I wrote for you the other day when I was thinking about meeting you here tonight, and it was inspired by this somebody, everybody, somebody, anybody, nobody poem. And it goes like this. And listen carefully. As my grandfather used to record stories and send them to me on my father. He sent them to my father, and I'd sit in front of the reel-to-reel and just listen to my grandfather's voice over and over again. He was a great storyteller. So pretend like I'm your grandma. Okay, yeah, I'm old enough to be some of your grandmas, so there you go. This is the story of someday, one day, today, and yesterday. A tale of regret. Someday was certain that one day would come, but today was not the day. Then one day became today, but the time was not right, so today became yesterday. And time marched on. Someday never happened because one day was too busy, but today was the last to say. I was here waiting every day, but one day and someday got in my way. It's a pity, and I wish we could all go back to yesterday. Take your dream seriously. What you wrote down earlier today, or if you didn't have a chance to do that, take some time before the new year. Write down your goal. Give it a deadline. Put it in front of you. And I wish you and all of your dreams to come true. Mr. Toastmaster.